All right, this is the President's Roundtable. I'm James Capone. I'm branch president of Branch 764. Been carrying for 19 years. And we have a few guests tonight. We're going to talk about equitability.
I'm Greg Samoluk, president of Framingham Branch 334. Been carrying for 22 years.
I'm Tom Rooney. I'm president of Branch 34 Boston. Been a letter carrier for 38 years. Been the president for 3.5 years. Been a whole bunch of things. Area steward, DRT representative Boston, executive vice president. Most important, I was informal A steward for about 24 years in Wollaston. Done numerous arbitrations. Done everything except run for MBA.
We're trying to figure out what that hammering is. I don't know. I don't know where that's coming from.
That's Tom pounding the gavel.
I want to call this, Billy, I want to call this meeting to order.
I'm Bill Kriebel. I'm the president of Branch 254 in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I've been with the post office for 10 years. I actually been a union official for 10 years. I kind of started right when I got in there. Yeah, and I'm with you guys. So I look forward to it.
Nice.
Thank you. So, equitability is something that I don't have much experience with. Neither does Greg. It's kind of ran a couple informals. I haven't really had to really argue it too much. And now with these multiple lists, it leads to a lot of questions and a lot of figuring out how to attack them. I know Bill and Tom are great at equitability. So we wanted to open up to them and see how they look at it. So when you guys look at the overtime list, what is kind of things you're looking at? Or do you run your own overtime list? What are things that pop out and go, all right, I got to really look into equitability here?
Tom, you want to go first?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's fine. We have to actually have the informal A stewards, the shop stewards in-house, take a look to see how far off the number is. And unfortunately, in my branch, it's so big that a small station might only be off by 10, which would make us activate a grievance. But if you go into a place like Woburn or the IMC, where you have over 200 carriers in each building, we might go 30 hours, 40 hours, and then we start doing a drill down on all kinds of information. And we go from there. That's usually what triggers it.
In my station, I do all the equitability. I took charge of the whole thing, and I actually go to management with their numbers every week. And I found that helps me with the grievance process, because if I'm giving you numbers every week, that means you know where you are. And if you can't make those people equitable, you can't come to me on that last day of the quarter and say, well, this person wasn't available on such and such and dates. So how I normally do it is I get the hours analysis report every week. On Saturdays, that's the day that should pump out. And I could go through that hours analysis report. So I got 37 guys on the ODL on the 12-hour don't come in on their day off list. And then I would have like 17 people that are on the actual NS list. So obviously you got to keep track of two things, and you need to know the color. Like I put all the colors. We run off of colors for our days off. So those people that are in on their NS days list, I already put them in color codes on my list to show. That way when I'm looking at it, I know they're color brown. So I could go and find their day off for the week and see if they actually brought them in. And then from that point, you could go through the hours analysis report, and you can get the overtime portion of it. And you can also see the penalty overtime, and you go through that. So you keep those hours on that list. And if they bring them in on that day off, so that's 8 hours. So if that guy came in and he worked actually 10 hours, you only hit 8 hours on the NS list, and then the other two are going to go back over onto the other. It's a crazy madness of how it is now.
Yeah.
It used to be a lot simpler when everybody was just on the same damn list, and we could just go through that. But that's how I put everything together. And what I did was I built an Excel spreadsheet, and I have all my people on there. So it calculates the week. So if it's pay period 21-1, I go through them hours. I put them all in there. It calculates everything up for me. And then I take the total number what that comes out, that the total number for the ODL, and I divide it by those 37 ODL people. So that gives me like a Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah.
So I even color code that portion of it in yellow and show management that, hey, these are the people that need to be caught up. So now when I go to the grievance portion of it, I have all these ducks in a row already because one, I give it to you every week and it's posted in all the stations. And two is I'm showing you who's behind. So that kind of goes. I don't know how you guys do it as
Well,
presidents.
well, that Bill, that's actually a good point because it's almost like you're doing the work for the grievance as you go, and you're showing that you're showing management. And I don't know if you would put this in your contentions. You're showing management. Listen, I warned you on September
Mhm.
10th that Tom and James needed to be caught up. So I mean, it's obviously harder, like Tom said, in a bigger station. It falls more
Mhm.
on the steward. But I think obviously this quarter being the first quarter with NS only and making that list equitable and separate from the other lists. So the problem I'm having in my station, and I know everybody's got like some people have fixed days off. We have fixed days off with a rotating Saturday, so we're completely different from you. So
Right.
we have people on certain days that aren't equitable. So I looked at it yesterday and I have one group, I'll say like for some reason the Wednesday group, which was a day a bunch of us golfed, so they brought more people in that day. So those people have 56 hours. The Tuesday people have 24 hours. Obviously, that's a huge discrepancy.
Mhm.
So management, and I don't really care what their argument is going to be, but they're going to argue, well, how are we supposed to know to that we were going to be hurting that day, and why didn't we bring more people in? So I think like the fixed day thing with and the NS only thing is really something that is new to everybody, and I feel like somebody's waiting for the first guinea pig to file that first grievance on the NS only thing just to see what the result is, and I think there's going to be a ton of NS only grievances coming up this quarter, and what the makeup's going to be, So
We're going to have multiple out of Boston. Probably
yeah,
out of our 58 stations, we'll probably have 30. We had a glitch where it combined the NS 8 hour and the split list.
yeah, I think
Mm.
Capone
Now we
had
got to
that
go
too.
back and
Yeah,
figure those all out.
yeah,
So,
Yeah, I had OT admin was the daily was calculating people at negative in the beginning. A couple of people started at like negative 17 without a grievance being filed the quarter before. And then it was also not populating the NS day list correctly. So somebody would work 8 hours, but it only put 6 hours on the NS day and 2 over on the
split.
daily list. And just weird numbers of OT admin. They were dealing with the labor guy. Those weren't really, they weren't able to get some answers. They tried to tell me it was correct at one point, and then you look at it right away, you can tell. I know this guy hasn't been here in 2 weeks, and they should be moving to the bottom of the list, but yet they're still in this section of lists before they went on vacation. That would make we don't charge usually with vacation in our
No,
office.
not vacation. It's
Yeah.
usually sick leave
So
or you just don't, you're not, yeah. Sick
yeah.
leave is usually where you hit them with it.
Yeah.
yeah. We
Uh,
we charge. I'm probably gonna get like in trouble for saying this, but it just we found it the most reasonable way to do it is we charge everything. If they got to you on your day off, and you're on vacation, you would charge an opportunity. If I'm leaving early to go play golf, or if I'm leaving early for a doctor's appointment on the daily, if they got
Mhm.
to me, we charge that person an opportunity. And just being 73 people on the overtime list right now, or probably a little less on the daily, maybe like 65. We found over the years that that's the fairest way to do it because we've never had an issue before with equitability. Um, in the past, before this new two different list thing, it was always the people that wanted to work were always the high ones, and the people that kind of just were like, yeah, I'm fine with it, were always the low ones. And you know, we in Framingham had a thing where we would work 60 hours a week, so everybody was happy. And then when we hired 30 PTFs, the overtime went away, so it's like there were more eyeballs on the equitability lists,
Mhm.
especially with the NS only thing. That's one of the things I didn't like about the NS only thing. I feel like
Tough
that
to
really,
control.
yeah, it's tougher to control, and it's more, it's on our responsible to make the list equitable. Obviously, it's our job to grieve it if it's not, but I feel like it just added more to the confusion of the overtime anyways. So
I agree with that. The two list makes it more of a challenge for the grievance process, because when I had everybody on one list, when you didn't bring you in, there's multiple of you guys. So like if they didn't bring you in on that day off, and now all of a sudden they got this NS list, they don't even bring, I don't know how they are in their stations, but those people don't come to work.
Mhm.
So the NS people, they never bring in. So it just created more work on this one spot, and you took away the process of grieving. Because if you have 50, 60 hours of non-ODL people working, and you're not going to capture that on the people sitting home. So now you got to go through that whole maximization of everybody.
Right.
Yeah, they didn't think that one through. I don't think. I'm not a real. I mean, the ODL guys are happy that they got that NS list, because they don't have to sign it and they can stay home on their day off. I'll work 12 hours a day, which they don't even do that sometimes. So the equability is a crazy portion of the whole Article 8.
Well, that brings up an interesting argument. So, in a situation where NS Day, you're looking at it becoming inequitable towards the end of the quarter. What you had said earlier, Bill, in regards to you're notifying them throughout the time, that was the way I was taught. I believe we have some rulings that arbitrators had mentioned, like the union kind of giving them nods along the way of, hey, you're getting a little inequitable here. Watch it. But in regards to an argument of if the NS list is inequitable, and you can see that they're giving out 12 hours to everybody in the office and keeping somebody at home, I would imagine you can make an argument. Look, if you didn't give out 12 hours this day and you brought this guy in, he would have been held equitable, and these guys wouldn't have been out so late.
Right. You got to bring those 8-hour people in first. They do that in multiple stations. They'll watch people going to 12 hours. So if they have 2 people going to 12, they'll bring the NS person in.
Yeah, it's a smart way to handle it, but I feel like that's something they never use logic. Like they never think down the line, like, oh, they're gonna have an easy grievance. I might as well just get some work out of it and bring the people in rather than do a makeup and then or eventually pay someone to, over an overtime grievance and sit at home. Um, that's gonna be my push for the, if I settle it at the informal or formal level, like, you know, you got to make it up to these people. So maybe, maybe you can offer them a Sunday, or maybe just, they have an opportunity to spin the list this Saturday. It's the Tuesday, Saturday, and bring them in. And if, it's easier to solve it. I mean, make it up earlier before it gets to the B team, and then you're told how to do it. I mean, you might as well do it early on just to get some, bodies there to get some work in, especially on a Sunday if you can, 8 easy hours on a Sunday to make it up to the people.
We had a real trouble with the makeups. The problem is it created the next quarter unequitable again.
Right.
Yeah.
So we just pretty much now, we pretty much resolve all of them out for money. We're about 8 or 9 in a row in the IMC. We're averaging around 100,000 each quarter. We had one top out of 244,000. We just had Quincy Center hit one for about 45. So we're pretty much paying out. It's too hard for them guys to keep it because there's so much work.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Do you have a lot of call outs, Tom?
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of vacancies. Management's having trouble placing carriers in certain parts of the inner city, so there's a lot there. So it's just not balanced out. Boston is not balanced out.
Are you guys able to resolve your equability grievances in-house, or do you guys have to send them out? I mean, Tom, I would think with you being a bigger station than all of us, so you probably have to. But did James and Graig, do you guys do it?
So when I've done equitability, we were able to settle it in-house, kind of at the informal. The first one I done was, since I was still working out the process and understanding equitability, before I became president, there hadn't been an equitability grievance in Dedham in, I think, almost 20 years. It just was not something that the past presidents had really watched or anything. So I had to learn it myself. So the first one I kind of showed, hey, this is where we're at, and then went to them and said, all right, well, look, this is what I'm going to be doing, looking at it. This is giving you guys notice. This way I can protect myself for the next quarter. When I do file it, I can say in my grievance, like the union even gave them a quarter where we explained it. And now I'm heading into the position of this is going to be the first one where it's going for it. I'm going to ask for negative hours for the following quarter, kind of giving them a chance to get their ducks in a row, get everything equal. Dedham usually has been getting a ton of overtime. We're heading into a season where it's going to slow down. Guys are going to start watching it and wanting to see. And now we're getting into the game, which I'm sure we all see in the office. How much are you up to? What are you going to make this year? Yeah. And that's when guys start going, well, wait a minute, what? He's on my set. He made an extra $10,000 more than me. Well, what's going on here? Then you start. The office is now getting interested in equitability. So we're hitting a preface of this is going to be the first one I'm filing and hoping to settle it informal with the negative hours.
Yeah, I feel we were at a labor management, the three of us, Bill, a couple weeks ago, and I hope nobody's listening from management, but they basically told us that at the local level, the supervisors and the postmasters basically have no idea what they're doing, and they're the problem. And it's scary to think that maybe they should, agree at the local or the informal or formal step, because I don't think they're going to know how to send it out of the office. I don't know what their contentions will be. And I don't know if at least, some of the ones that I've dealt with, I don't know if they even know how to defend their actions. I think they'll just say, well, we didn't need them that day. And then when I look at the numbers and say, well, you used 70 hours of overtime in this unit, you could have just brought in 3 people and paid the same overtime. And all I have to do is send them a copy of the schedule and everybody's work hours that day. So I feel like it could be resolved at the local level. And, they if someone looked at a list and saw one person had 56 hours and one person had 24, they're going to look at that and say, that's not equitable. That's not equal. So I'm going to be very interested to see how many of these get sent out. I know Boston will probably send out a ton, like Tom said, or how many even get resolved at the local level because of,
Well,
lack.
In Boston, we held probably 5 or 6 pending one arbitration case, and then they just resolved all the rest out. You guys are a little tighter than us. Like, I'm just looking down at one we just did. High guy was 367.42 and the low guy was 218. So that's a big discrepancy.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah.
And you're going to see all those people in the middle got to be brought up to that average between. So that case is probably somewhere around, rough guess, about 70 grand for the carriers in that area.
Nice. We'll come and work for you, Tommy.
Oh yeah, there's people that get on the list just to get a little every 3 months.
I mean, they complain about losing money, and you look at and all they have to do, and it's amazing. I know we're not trying to help them save money, but we could, because if you just followed the contract and looked at and start from day one, like they should have started today. And look at today, like I think everybody in my office got a split or a piece. I don't know what everybody calls it, except for me. I was on union time, and just like start from day one and keep it equitable. It's not that hard, and they make it harder on themselves. And I think at one of the rap sessions, they said it was like $100 million in Article 8 grievances last year. We could say, I mean, I'm not looking to save them money, but they could save themselves money by just doing it the right way. Because the four of us, they don't care. That's a problem, because it's not their money, and they wonder.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's amazing that continues to happen.
Yeah, that's the shame with the whole system. I mean, I have guys that work next to me that have been ODL carriers for 30 years, and they'll be giving them 8-hour days every day, and here you got this guy. It's like so much favoritism, because, management will look at the ODL guy that could do more than what the other guy's doing, because they want to do more for less. And this guy's get salty with it. And the only thing you can really tell them outside of if people are forced, then that's a whole different grievance process. But I just tell them, at the end of the quarter, you have to be equitable. And if you're not equitable, then, it goes in your favor. Right. They got to pay that stuff out,
So I'll be interested in hearing what the arguments you hear a lot from management. Funny enough, I messaged one of my buddies about equitability, and he listens to podcasts every once in a while. And he told me I make management's argument too much when it comes to how to make it equitable, and he threatened to come to my house and beat me.
I know that guy.
He said he was going to beat me with his pocket J-cam. So I realized that it made me view it differently, where I'm like, you know what, that is fair. It is their position. I'm just presenting the numbers, and it's their position to explain them. What are some of the contentions you see or arguments that management brings to the table?
We've had multiple gone up without any contentions in it. They just move it up to the next level. They do try to go back and calculate carriers that are on annual or sick to see if that time should have been added in. But in Boston, we used the DEQ report, the Detailed Equitability Report. One of the arbitration cases, I actually think I argued it with John, the arbitrator ruled we're using management's numbers. So it was arbitrator Barrett looked at management's advocate and said, are you trying to tell me your numbers are wrong? And obviously ruled in our favor because they can't say the number is wrong.
Yeah.
So if you look at a DEQ report, you'll see on the right, the last right column, that's their numbers. That's not ours. No, I don't know how management argues that. It's their program. But you guys are a little nicer than Boston. We don't go halfway through and say, hey, you guys are off. I haven't seen that one yet, Jimmy.
Yeah, for some reason I was always told that it makes it look better if you're like, hey, in the contentions, I inform management on this day, whatever, say in November 1st, hey, just so you know, we're a month in, you're looking a little inequitable, keep an eye on it, and add that into contention shit, and then you can make the argument, hey, I tried to get them to keep it equitable. I informed them throughout the quarter that they were looking at a rough spot. They still kept on rolling with the inequitability. You got to present it to us.
And one of the other problems that Capone and I have are being in the office and someone's getting hours and over someone else, and they run over to the board and they check the hours, and then they run over to us and say why, and there's only so many times I can say it only has to be equitable at the end of the quarter, and it's almost like force of habit to go up to the manager and say, why is just go by the hours? Why are they because they can do this piece instead of this person? I think there's just this personal involvement where we're next to these people every day, and there's only so many times you can repeat yourself. I had somebody say to me the other day, what are you going to do about it? It's not equitable. And this was with a month left in the quarter. And I said, I don't think there's ever been a grievance filed in the middle of the quarter to make it equitable. You have to wait.
The tough thing is Article 8.5 specifically says throughout the quarter. And that's something that I feel like that is hit on more, that, hey, you're not supposed to put yourself in a deficit. If me, Greg, Tom, and Bill are on the overtime list and you start giving Bill all the overtime and the other three of us, you're putting yourself in a deficit. So I can't file a grievance till the end of the quarter, but you should be keeping it equitable throughout. You're going to have discrepancies here and there, but let's not put ourselves in a hole.
Myself, I don't trust OT admin. Because even when they go to show you the seniority list of people, that isn't even right. Like, I got people that came in way behind me that are way above me. So I don't trust OT admin. And that kind of makes my case about how I go through and I do everything each week. Because that way, as we're going, you don't come to me at the end of it because you see it. It's posted. You get it in the emails. So there shouldn't really be an argument. I don't have an argument at the end of it. But, I mean, not everybody has their own quirk of how they're going to follow this grievance. I mean, Tom has a different system. I mean, detailed equitability, I never even thought to look at something like that. So now that I know that, I'll check that out to see how that works. Greg, you probably have your own system. I mean, you have different rotating days. You're fixed days.
Yeah. The fixed day off is the fixed day off is going to be the problem, I think, because there's always going to be, I don't know about, down there, but Mondays are just been ridiculous here where you're waiting for mail. It's just, you're getting bombarded. And then Tuesday, there's half a tray of DPS and 20 packages. And if I were them, I probably wouldn't call people in on Tuesday either. And, when you have a fixed day off, except every 6th Saturday we have, the people are going to be like, I have to be equitable, and manager's not bringing me in. So there's the problem with the fixed days off, So
that might be a tough sell in front of an arbitrator. They might buy that. They might give management a pass on that.
That's what I'm worried. And then the response to me from, somebody, will be, well, maybe it's time to look at your local and go to rotating days. And then I have every Monday and Friday person, I have to look under my car every night when we change the local.
We drive home a different way every night.
Yeah. But
Go start my car for me.
All
What
right,
do you
Greg,
guys-
I know the feeling.
what do you,
entrance in equitability grievances, them not sending up contentions at all, and that is the bane of my existence, that a lack of evidence or defense should automatically go to the accuser, and they're not even trying. It should automatically be whatever the union has requested, because they're not even trying to put up a contention to it.
They just don't want to pay it out.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
and
the
that
thing.
it should
I mean,
be
these are
paid
tens
out
of thousands of dollars, so they got to call probably into Connie, get approval. I'm sure she's got to call someone in Connecticut. So that's why they don't.
Mhm.
What were your guys' opinion when the contract happened, and I think we all knew this was gonna because it was a resolution, but when it was put through, or even with the convention we talked about it, what was your initial opinion on the two separate lists, the NS and the daily overtime list being two different things?
I thought it was, like I said in the beginning of this, you took away my grievance process. You took my Article 8 that like the forcing. We still force. So I mean, like, you took away all my people. Like, I could get more hours if I had everybody on one list opposed to having those two separate lists. And then you get the one dude that's an 8-hour carrier. He wants to come in on his day off and just rack him out for another 8 hours. So I don't know, man. To me, I think that outside of that portion of taking away that grievance process for us, I can't get past that. That the second list shouldn't even be there. I think that we should get rid of if the ODL want to get off on the day off, then that's something you work out. We've been doing it for years like that, and now all of a sudden these guys are going to get a day off, and I can't maximize out my ODL more to get those hours. So I don't know. I'm more of a fan of the way it used to be as it is now. I mean, I learned to adapt. So I don't know.
I'm actually really surprised. At first, I wasn't for it, but I've only received 2 complaints out of all the stations I've had about it. So it's pretty much working the way everyone wants it in their buildings. It's just unfortunate they can't keep it equitable.
Right.
So now the guys on the NS list are going to get a little bump, and the guys on the split list are going to get some money.
Yeah, I had a lot of carriers actually come up to me and tell me they like this system. I actually have a few that have asked me to write up a resolution for work assignment and NS.
I hear that.
Yeah, that's a big
Yeah, so that's something I'm going to be working on to run through my branch. Because I think guys like the idea of some more of a flexibility of their schedule. But you're right, for us it sucks where their programs don't run correctly, keeping the numbers running correctly. The OT admin drove me crazy because at least where I am, it was such a train wreck where it's, you guys knew for almost a year that this was going to happen. It was in the TA in October. You know that it's going to pass through. They made it very clear that the work things were staying even through arbitration. Why isn't the post office getting it set and prepared instead of dropping right when the quarter starts July 1st and going, oh, let's hope it works right, and it just being a train wreck?
Capone, I think they were working so hard on getting those over 60 payments right. They wanted to get that program perfect.
Yeah, we're still
So once they did that, they were like, we're gonna handle it. It's just they are reactive, not proactive in every approach.
But just think when December hits and penalty time goes away, they get it right every year, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
they don't screw it up then.
Yeah.
How the hell we negotiated that? I have no idea.
I have no idea, Bill. Come on.
That's the one thing. That's the 1 month we could stick it to them, and I don't know who the hell negotiated that, man.
If I'm not wrong, I believe it was not negotiated. The way it worked is we usually did not get double time. And instead, when we got double time, it was every month except for December. So a lot of people always think we negotiated December away. It was no, we never had it. And when they added it in, it was except for December, Christmas time, which at this point we should be negotiating for it to come back that, hey, we have the work, we're working, you need us here. Start paying us the double time during that as well.
And then when you
Watch
go
out.
to 12 or 60, you get the double time and a half. So.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
Yeah.
say, Tom. That's where we're going to hit them, is because guys are going to be working over that through that time, and I don't even trust that system. Like, I don't know how your guys' works, but I get an email like once in a blue moon. It says that these dudes are owed the half that they couldn't calculate in.
Yeah, we get it
So-
weekly.
Is the double time and a half during Christmas time? I thought that was cut out. No penalty, no double time and a half during Christmas time.
Yeah, the 1260 goes away in that month, I believe,
It
as well.
does?
You
Yeah,
can still it's not. That's
Wow.
not.
you can
December
still
either.
work it, but
Boston
you're not
might disagree with you on that one.
Yeah.
We got multiple stewards that called me about it. It says, no, if you read it, it doesn't say excluding December. When you go,
It doesn't.
Oh, interesting.
So take a
All right.
read of it. It's worded kind of weird.
Yeah,
Take a look at it.
I like
That's
to
going
look
to
at
go
it.
in front of an arbitrator for interpretation.
That's
Yeah.
the thing that sucks is we're dealing with a lot of rules that we don't have JCAM language for, arbitration language for, so we're kind of just starting fresh, and it's going to be built by the grievances that are filed throughout the system.
Yeah.
So, Capone, you talked about writing a resolution, and I probably should know the answer to this, but I feel comfortable asking it. So, if we write that resolution, if that resolution for the own assignment and NS thing passes,
Mhm.
and we bring it to
You
national,
send it to national to Nicole
but
Ryan.
the convention where it's voted on is, let's hope, is after the contract could be agreed to.
Yeah.
So,
So what happens when they get a resolution? They can either decide to adopt it
oh,
themselves,
that's right. Yeah, you just answered my question.
or send it to the floor.
Right, right.
The hope would be that would adopt that
Right.
themselves and not have to go to the floor. Other than that, we're in that weird period where the negotiation is going to happen. So they're going to be going after past resolutions since the 70s to negotiate,
Mhm.
not the ones from this most recent convention, unless we're in the same boat, hope to God not, that we were in last time, where we're waiting 2 years and they're still negotiating so they can start taking some of those into account.
Yeah, there'll be bigger problems with the convention if there's no contract, and
Oh, God.
that will be the least of the issues at the convention.
It'll be
It'll make my path
ugly.
easier.
At least the bedlam won't be in Boston, Tom, right?
Yeah, there you go.
And that to
Yeah.
LA, they could have
Yeah.
the insanity one.
Wait another 10 years before you come back, guys. That was a lot of work.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Hey, Tom, your city's great up there. Not to get off topic, but man, you have like the city that nobody's in the streets at nighttime. I think I left some bar up there one night, and I'm like walking back. I don't know where I'm at. There's nobody to ask where the hell you're at up there. And it's like, I was like, man,
Bill, there's a reason for that.
Yeah. You don't ask people directions in Boston because you're not going to like the answer.
Yeah, you're not going to like the answer at all.
So
Yeah.
can I, just off topic, Bill, so you said that's going to help your end. So how did you can I just some background? How did you get involved with the CLC? How did you decide, what made you decide for regional office? If you feel, free sharing
Yeah,
your origin story, if you will.
I follow my region stuff. I'm a businessman. I came to the post office. I was an owner of an audiovisual company, and I kind of felt a hard time with illnesses with my wife, and I needed the benefit. So I utilized my veteranship to get into the post office. And I studied a lot of what Rolando was doing and stuff. I got involved with the union. I learned, and I went to formal A and beyond training. And when I was down here, James Henry's the guy that coaches it. And I'm a Marine. Like, when you talk about Marines, James is a Marine. He's a gunny sergeant in the Marines. So like, we have that automatic instant bond because we know that we have that integrity, accountability, and discipline structured into us. And like, Marine guys always have each other's back. So anyhow, I got into a conversation with him down there. He heard me speak in some of the trainings. I don't know if you guys ever been there, but Tom, you probably been there. But you had to go up and you got to go against people from other cities, and he heard how I presented myself and carried. And I got having a conversation with him, and my conversation was, what are you doing to fix my region? And then that's when the conversation built. And then Richie Ray actually had a kind of a hand in it too, because he was in the same class as me, nudging me, saying, you gotta, this is an opportunity for you. I think they're interested, and they like what you have to offer. And I'm kind of like not a big name that would have popped out to people because obviously you would have probably thought like maybe the guy Ted Lee from Pittsburgh or Tim Mulvaney from Philly or one of the bigger cities would have did that. But I have a passion for the letter carrier and I like to fight for the letter carrier and I'm approachable. I'm not like a guy that's going to just, I play guitar. I listen to heavy metal music like the next guy, I'm a very approachable guy and James liked that in me and he liked my fight and I come up with a lot of ideas for us. So they asked me, but I didn't accept it like right away because I needed to make sure that it was going to be good with my wife, because she can't walk, my wife. So I have to be able to be around to assist her. And when we got talking about it, she says, no, I think that's a job that's really geared towards you. You do have a passion. You know what you're talking. I don't think I know what I'm talking about. In her eyes, it's when she sits back and listens to me do these podcasts, she's like, man, you know a lot about that stuff. But anyhow, not to get off the topic, but it worked out really good. And then James, I kind of went through a process where I spoke with everybody. I think at the time, Corey was still running for MBA. So Corey, Walt, and I were the only 3 MBAs. And then, Corey, he projected up into the EVP position. There's a lot of people that are actually going to come on the slate soon. I'm excited for that. And, like we always do the Wednesday night MBA meetings where we talk about stuff. Richie was a big help and Walt. Like sometimes when you hear us do trainings and stuff like that, we're always sitting in there having, chopping it up like we're doing right now. But sometimes you want to hit record because this idea comes to you, like the heat training. We did a heat training thing. Nobody's talking about the heat training. Well, it's going to be about 110 degrees out here real soon. Maybe we should educate the new people that are coming in. We don't do that as CLC, though. We kind of just do that as the 3. People know who we are. I mean, obviously, There's a logo right behind me. My name's, I think, is pretty well known across the United States. And it worked out really good. And I enjoy being a part of it because they have the same passion for me. Everybody's about educating. We need to educate everybody because if everybody's educated, we need to take care of the small mom and pop stations that don't have that support. Like Pennsylvania is a big state, like the western side of Pennsylvania don't have the same representation as the eastern side does with Jersey and all that. And that's things that I think needs to be fixed. We need to be able to fix the Step B team. So James and I have almost the same agenda and itinerary. Like if you go on my Facebook page for the campaign, I believe I have my agenda pinned up on that. So if people want, I have implementation plans too for this stuff and how fast I want to try to get it done. Like I said before, I'm a businessman and I have a passion for the letter carrier. So I'm going to combine both those efforts and try to build us back up strong in Region 12.
Very good. Yeah. Capone, did you?
Yeah, sorry.
I thought you were going to say something. My bad. I'm trying to read you. We don't have this down yet. We're still in the newlywed phase.
It's all good.
No. It's just, I always find it funny. First off, all of our wives and girlfriends must all have the same complaint that we talk about union stuff way too damn much.
They know more about the union stuff than 90% of the members.
They do. Right?
My wife knows that contract in and out.
My wife knows people's names, and she's like, "Oh, did so and so show up to work today?" I was like, "No." She's like, "Are they still dealing?" I was like, "Why do you know this? You're violating some law here by knowing all this." So
Tyler, it's not just me; it's all union people. Just so you know. But it is funny about like starting out in the education aspect. I had actually come from Branch 34. I was in Branch 34 for 10 years in Jamaica Plain. I transferred over to Dedham, saw what was going on. Dedham's a much smaller office, and getting involved and then realizing, like, seeing what 34 did with education and wanted to bring that aspect over to my branch. So we started hosting a monthly Zoom where we educate. There's such a break between OJI and really knowing this. And me and my postmaster always go back and forth. He's an ex-carrier, and I say it's 5-6 years. 5-6 years to fully get every single aspect of this job and be good at it. They always say it's only 2 weeks. Well, yeah, because you're not doing the Fords correctly. You're not endorsing. You're not doing things to the M41. And education is such a huge thing that I feel the NALC in general is lacking.
I agree.
Like 34 is great at it. And that's kind of the idea I had brought over to my branch. And you have a lot of branch presidents that don't really care to educate, or, my favorite union line I ever hear is, I'm not getting paid for it. We should all get paid for everything we do, and they won't do it. And then the NALC top down. We're very good at training reps. I haven't had the honor of going to Formal A or Leadership Academy or any of those classes, but I've gone to the trainings, and we're very good at training reps. We're missing out on training everyday carriers, in my opinion. Tom, what do you feel on that one? I know you guys run a strong education campaign.
Yeah, we bring all the stewards in twice. I think you came to one, didn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah, we try to do that twice a year. Every steward gets a full 8-hour training to start. They get access to the 16-member team, and they also receive all the material from us to educate all their carriers. We try to get people to be stewards that can basically speak in public. You need that guy that's got the energy, or that girl that's got the energy to go out and say, okay, this is the way it should be done. When route inspections come up, we handle pretty much it all. We do all our own training on that. We bring people in and teach them from A to Z. We teach them potty training, how to go to the bathroom at the right times, breaks, how to carry the mail, how to hold them out there. And then everyone gets that kind of training. It's been pretty successful on that one. And it's very important for all our members to know what we're doing and where we're at. So,
yeah, the educational part, I think what Capone said is key, and I think it's we just went to training in Boston 2 weeks ago. Tom, you were there one of the nights, but Capone and I brought five of my three of my trustees, my treasurer, my VP, one of my alternate stewards, just to learn, because the NALC, if I'm gonna, I'll give them credit nationally, they put on a hell of a training when it comes to like the membership part of it, checking the books, just making sure you're doing everything the correct way. And part of me is like, man, I'm watching it, and they bring in this I think it's the company's OPI or whatever it's called, the
CPAs,
the CPAs, and
Dorsey and Dorsey?
yeah, Dorsey was there, and
Yeah, he's pretty cool, huh?
yeah, they just do such a good job at teaching you how to protect your branch. And I'm like, I'm sitting there in one of the classes, and I'm like, they do such a good job at this. Why not now do the same thing with educational stuff? Like, I went to training, steward training a couple times. I just wish there was, I kind of learned from my past presidents and just hands-on stuff. I've been president for 5 years, vice president for 4 before that, and I've just been learning like trial and error. So now I have my own style, and someone came in there and said, "Wait, what? How did you just handle that today?" Like, but I did what's best for my carrier. But I feel like if National took more of a approach to training us, um, maybe it's too big. I don't know, but if they can do it at what they did in Boston a couple weeks ago, they can probably, get a stronger or smarter membership, so.
Yeah, that officers training is really interesting.
I enjoyed it
a couple years ago.
It was really intense. I enjoyed it. It's funny. I put a post on my Facebook because a while ago, somebody relatively higher up, or wanting to be higher up in the NALC, had commented on one of my photos when I went to a rap session. When my aunt commented, "Oh, what is that?" And he said, "Oh, it's where they indoctrinate them." And my thing was the intense learning and things that I learned about my branch and how the branch should run from officer training. It is unbelievable. And the idea of, well, they're indoctrinating you. No, that is education they do. And that officer training is something I really wish was available for more people, and more people attended, because you really see the inner workings of the NALC, how your branches should work. I get messages all the time from carriers telling me, well, they pulled this at my branch, or they said this, or whatever. And you read the rules, and it's like, well, no, that's not technically right. And giving people the education to know their rights, not only amongst the post office, but amongst their own union, it is a huge thing. I was really happy I got to attend it.
Yeah, it's good training.
I attended that.
Keep the Department of Labor out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I attended that training out in Los Angeles. I thought it was really, really good training. It's really a lot of people don't understand that we're a business. That's the business side of the
Mhm.
union, opposed to there's more to it than Article 8 and discipline.
Oh yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
you have to be able to make sure you're not going to jail.
Mhm.
That's one of the
Oh,
key
I know the
things of being
feeling.
a president. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying, Tom? You got to make sure you got the right. You're 100% right on the stewards. I believe that you if you're a shy person and stuff like that, if you ain't ready to work at home on stuff or late hours or be able to take phone calls at late at night and stuff from carriers, and you always want to be available because you always wear the hat as the union rep 24/7. But I agree with you, Tom. If that person is a well public speaker and they can weed through all the BS that comes out of everything, then that's what you want. And then you just grow that person. I mean, you get shire stewards some. I mean, stewards, they kind of come and go a lot of the time. So you want to try to catch your good ones and make them strong. I agree with training, Capone. You got to be able to train everybody. Like I bring in plasmas and stuff to my union meetings. I get them there, and like I keep all my PowerPoint slides from everywhere I go. So like I'll do a training just on what your sick note should look like. Like I'm not trying to keep you there for
Mhm.
hours. But
Right.
like I want to be able to entertain you for at least a good 20 minutes. Like if I'm not hammering OWCP on you, like a lot of that's a big training that we should really a lot of presidents should be really focused on, because if you fall and get injured, people
Yep.
do not know what to do. That's
Yeah.
where the ball
Yeah.
drops with it. And
Mhm.
and there's so many crazy things within the Department of Labor when it comes to OWCP that you could get screwed really bad. And now you're at home, you got no money coming in, you can't work, you got no time. And like that's a thing that I think that's really big, and that's a big part of my platform too, you guys, because like you got to educate people. Ecomp, they got to know how to work their
Hmm.
way through ecomp.
Yeah. It's a
They kind
headache.
of took Yeah, it's a lot, man. But once you get it and you understand that, then you can kind of go through it a lot. Like Tom, you probably have an OWCP rep, right?
We actually have not only OWCP rep, we have access to the OWC portal. So
Oh,
you just come into us and we sit you in an office and we walk you right through it.
so
Anybody
we
can come up in, we walk you through the whole thing. Laura does a phenomenal job at it. She even has a little waiting room.
I've had to deal with OWCP a little bit. I'm glad Regional has had an OWCP guy, Barbuzzi. Rest in peace. He had
Mhm.
recently passed it.
Hmm.
He was in my class.
It was
Yeah,
unbelievable
he was
at it.
great. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he
I
blew
had a
his stuff.
grievance where a carrier had fallen, and I won it, luckily, because they didn't give them the reports or even report it, even though the carrier had informed them. But he helped me out through it huge, because it can get confusing, and that is
Yeah.
definitely something I would like to pick up more training on, so I
Yeah,
understand.
that's. I'm glad you brought that up, Bill, because that is after that's probably the biggest issue, probably the most questions I get being in a, kind of a big office. We do have a lot of injuries, a lot of on the clock
Hmm.
injuries, and I've been lucky. I do have, he's technically an alternate steward. He's been everything, jack of all trades in the union for 40 years. He's close to retirement, and I've learned from him because anytime the supervisors ask him questions like, what are we supposed to do? What form? CA 16, CA 1, and my fear is that, he's gone and I'm trying to train someone new in this that's a
Hmm.
younger, he's kind of taken him under his wing, but I'm like, he's still got a ton of questions. And like you said, you slip on and trip or something, get hurt, and you don't fill out the right form, or you don't know your time period, you don't, you hit the wrong thing on the CA1, and then you don't get paid. I get a carrier right now. He's like, I haven't got my COP yet. Where is it? And it's like, well, hopefully management can fix it, but like the guy's sitting there at a check with zeros in it, and he got rear-ended and he's out of work. It's not his fault he's out of work. So it's like we need people educated on that stuff too. And it brings me to my next point is, um, like educating people, not just like classes and stuff, but getting people to union meetings and
Hmm.
educating them there and trying to, I don't know how you guys do it. I know Tom's branch is huge, but like trying to get more and more people to union meetings and, not just getting them there to listen and take it all in and understand like what we're trying to do, what we're trying to teach you. Like I'm taking the approach of like I barely talk about management at the meetings. I talk about like the future of the NALC, like what you should be looking for. I talk about national politics when it involves the post office, the three bills that involve the post office.
Hmm.
And I have a great turnout in my meetings, but how many people are really taking in what I'm saying? So I think like as local presidents, we have to do a better job of trying to recruit more people to go to meetings, especially the newer PTFs who have to understand what they're fighting for and what this is all about. So um, I feel
Yeah.
like I feel like as local presidents, we have this responsibility to try to just educate our local unions in all this stuff at the meetings. And I don't know how you guys get people to your meetings. Tom, I know you got
We
one
try
coming
to,
up.
when I took over as president, we kind of enacted like a vice president report. I got a feeling like when I speak for, say, 45 minutes an hour, you lose the crowd.
Hmm.
So you need
Hmm.
multiple different speakers on a certain topics. So like I'm like you, I'll take all the legislation stuff happening in our national union, and John and Laura will take what we're working on in arbitration grievances. And it's brought a lot of more people in because now they're getting multiple sources of information. They're not just hearing Tom talk for an hour. So we try to
Hmm.
mix it up. We try to give the floor open to people, let them speak on topics. Um, BFN is big at our branch meetings. They come up with some really good topics. They speak at will. So we try to keep it open to everyone, not just a president being locked down and just speaking. We want more people, more interactive, more people talking in it. And it seems to work. We don't ever really go under. Well, actually, I don't think we ever went under a quorum with me. So we're there. Next one should be huge. We got
Yeah.
James and Corey coming up.
Yes.
You guys are all
um,
invited. Come on in, more than welcome.
So
they
I think
I'm
Bill.
sorry.
Go ahead, Bill.
no,
No,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Bill. Well,
I was just
getting
gonna say.
people.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Bill. No,
I'm
you're up.
out.
You're
No,
up.
I'm out. Go ahead, James.
All right, no, I was just gonna say, getting people in meetings is a huge thing. I had come, like I said, I'm from a smaller branch, but before I had run, they were canceling 4 meetings a year, not getting to quorum. People weren't
Wow.
going to meetings,
Yeah.
and since we've kind of changed things, adding in a newsletter, also we opened it up to Zoom. I'm very, messaging groups of carriers, have text groups to send out the Zoom link, remind them of it. Um, Really pushing different topics. Like the new one I'm going to do is teach them how to write a resolution during the meeting. We're going to write it together, come up with
Hmm.
some ideas, and get more involvement. We invite guests to come to our meetings as well. We actually had Richie Galvin from 34 come over and teach a class. And we had seen a huge increase where, we're getting sometimes more than half of our active carriers to the meetings. Retirees are coming back in because we're including them. And it's about keeping the meeting interesting, keeping it involved, keeping people informed, and also holding each other accountable. I have a lot of carriers that when they come to a meeting, they're looking around and where's so and so, where's this guy, where's that guy, and they'll even text each other like, "You need to be here. Where are you?" Go talk to them in the morning. Like, why aren't you going to the meeting? I've started printing out my notes completely because what we were running into is meetings were running 3.5 hours sometimes.
Mm.
So we wanted to get it to sub 2 hours. So I would print out the notes themselves for the meeting and just go over the blanket topic. In the House, we have HR 70. It is in regards to protect the letter carriers. And then the sheet would have more information to pass it out. They would have it. And that way we can keep it sub 2 hours because you got to keep involvement. But as Tom said, they don't want to listen to some of us talk for 2 hours straight, 3 hours straight.
Yeah. Same thing with mine. My president report's probably the longest thing, but I'm kind of with you guys. You kind of want to be quick with what you're doing because you lose them. And you got to remember this thing is usually at the end of the night when people are coming there from work. So obviously we have food at our meetings. I do have my social guy. He does a pretty good job for me. We do have sometimes beverages there, but it's kind of like the seventh inning stretch in baseball. Like when I start talking, the booze is done because then you want to transition to the good of the association, new business, old business, and then get the hell out of there. My meetings usually range about an hour and a half, maybe two tops if there's a good back and forth banner between everybody. But yeah, get them engaged, man. Trainings, if you're going to do a training, I can't keep that within like a 20-minute window, because I mean, you don't want to sit there and dry them out. They're already burnt out from the day, especially in the summer. But with my branch, we do two different things. Like we'll have in the winter time, we do our meeting at one spot that's indoors. And then we have like a boat club on the river, the Lehigh River, that we go down there and it's outside under a nice pavilion and stuff like that. So you get more engagement kind of in the summer times. I don't know if you guys do meetings in the summer, but we get, they come out with the burgers and dogs, and, it's more of a simpler meeting outdoors.
I like that idea.
Bill, as NBA, if you were to win, in Pennsylvania being obviously a bigger state, would you do? I think I froze. Would you be doing more Zoom stuff? I know Zoom's kind of like the flavor of the month now. I think more people are doing stuff on Zoom. Would you take that approach with training or even president's meetings or anything with that guy, doing?
Yeah, that's a good question, Greg. Actually, when I win, we're going to do Zoom meetings. And one of the Zoom meetings, obviously I'll have the one with the presidents every month because I want to make sure that they're on, because communication's huge. Like if I'm going to talk to labor or I'm going to the district managers or arbitration, anything that's going on, I feel that my presidents should know that. And if it's something that's coming down the pipe, they need to be able to know how to fight that. And we're going to work together as a team, because think about it. I have a whole slew of Pennsylvania and half of New Jersey's presidents. And I know these guys. I know they're sharks. They can be sharks. I know there's some dudes out there that are sharks nobody even knows about. But I want to do a Zoom meeting with the rank and file once a month and have them come on, because obviously I'm a working president. I carry mail every day right now. So I'm on the floor. I see what goes on inside the station, and I can almost say the same stuff's going on in your stations. Management gets something, they stick with it and they run. But I want to be able to get with that rank and file and have that conversation. A lot of it's just a conversation about what's going on, what seems to be the challenges, how can we go and help you guys. And then with education as well. Education, I feel, has to be more of I'd rather do that more in person. I want to set up educational teams that go out there and just train people. Like there's branches in certain areas that can't afford to go to rap sessions and stuff like that, but we need to be able to bring that to them and get them to have that education. Some branches don't even know who the hell the business agent is, their president, because the guy don't ever go there, but we have to be more transparent with everything that's going on. Education, it can be done through the Zoom. Maybe we could do rank and file educational pieces like that, where just everybody comes, because rap sessions, it's pretty much you usually get delegates going to those things, or the main people like the president, vice president, and the stewards, where we want to get everybody involved. Does that kind of make sense?
Oh, yeah, no, definitely.
It's funny you mention about branches going to these things. It's actually another resolution I was working on. I talked to a few people about it. I know I'm full of resolutions now.
Somebody's got to do them.
He's hanging out with Bobby DeMartin.
That's it. It's Bobby. The NALC has money. We know they have money. Create a fund, like a scholarship, to get these smaller branches to these events, whatever dollar amount you decide, and however often you decide, 3-4 times a year, and you have applications from smaller branches. Hey, we only get $10,000 a year. Our expenses run us $8,000. We can't afford to send somebody to California or our 3 delegates. And the NALC has a scholarship fund like we do for the college to give to those branches to get them there, so we can get more smaller branches involved. Because I think there's a wide group of carriers in this country that their presidents can't attend any of these things. If they do, they're going to bankrupt their branch. They then can't give the information to the carriers so that they know. And this information is important. Again, coming from Dedham, I don't think we had sent anybody to rap sessions or conventions or anything for 15, 20 years. I was one of the first presidents to start going to all these rap sessions, conventions, because I saw how important it was. The first one I went to was in Providence, and it was like, holy shit. I learned a lot of stuff that weekend.
And that was a good one.
Yeah, and like came back and expounded upon the branch. Like, we got to send as many people as we can to these things. How many I'm allowed to, I can afford to send them to these things, get the training, get some younger kids trained, because I'm not going to be here forever, and that needs to pass on to somebody else. And getting these
Would
smaller.
that be easy to do that under the NBA's budget to try
No,
to
See,
get
that's the
down
thing.
to the
The
region?
whole
Yeah.
NBA. I haven't got there. I've asked a lot of questions about the NBA's budget because one of the main things that I want to do is I always, yeah, right. I always feel that there's the rap session, and that rap session is always in Atlantic City, right? So if you got Pittsburgh, that's almost what, like an 8-hour drive from Pittsburgh to come there, and then you got people like are further than that. So why do we only do that one rap session? Why don't we have another rap session out on the other side of that, and then those people will be able to go attend that? But the key thing is, I think that we have to go to these places. So, like, if you got, I'm just going to throw a town out, like Johnstown. Let's just say we go out there, that's out by Pittsburgh. We could go out there and then we could get all those support and branches that are there. The challenge in PA, I think, that is a lot of the branches are spread out so far. Like, one branch would have, it would be almost a 3.5-hour drive for you to be able to get to a union meeting. Like, that don't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, and then you don't get paid as a steward if you don't even go to that meeting. So that to me is like something that shouldn't be. We should be able to, everybody's got to get educated. Everybody, all the way down to the water boy. We got to train everybody.
Yeah, I always feel like the people that have to, like, we have Massachusetts obviously smaller, and we had a meeting, and I think all the presidents were there in Brockton, which is like southeast, and even like the presidents out in Springfield and Pittsfield were able to come. But like I can imagine a state the size of Pennsylvania just driving from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia. It's tough to get all those people to in one place, and that's where all the, you know, when you're with all these other presidents, and I think a lot of us are comfortable with each other now, you bounce ideas off each other.
Yeah.
You know, in Providence, we had it was a great meeting. Brian was supposed to be there. He didn't show up, but we ended up having a president's meeting anyways. And it was right around the contract. There was some great banter going back and forth. You know, some people thought it was good, some people thought it was bad, but you got to see who's willing to step up and speak, and or the opinions. It was all in good nature, but it's good to have that conversation with other branch presidents or vice presidents or even stewards. And that's why I think there should be more rap sessions and more presidents meetings. Or I think Capone and I are trying to do something up in New England with like a almost like a New England version of the committee of presidents, just to get everybody on, kind of on the
That's not a
same.
bad idea.
Yeah, maybe through Zoom at first. It's just something I think we're trying to do with this podcast too, is bring all these presidents on, get everybody, and if everybody knows, I always feel if everybody knows each other and they're willing to bounce ideas off each other, like I've been texting more people in the last year since we ran that rally, that I never knew a year ago, but now I've made friends with these people, and it's easier to text them or call them and say, "Hey, what do you think about this? What would you do here?" And vice versa. So I always think like you build those relationships at these trainings and rap sessions, and it only benefits your branch and the union as a whole. So
That should happen all throughout the region. We all should be
Correct.
connected in. If we have a certain section going out route inspections, when then done and they know they're going to the next branch, we should be sharing what they're looking at, what they're redlining, who's the bad instructors or
yeah,
roundsmen. We should
yeah.
all be sharing that information together.
Yeah, there almost should be like a portal of, hey, who do
Yeah.
you got? Like, you got this person. Oh, they're terrible. Here are some ideas how to
Watch this one because they're
Right,
cheating on their comment sheet. You
right.
go into the bathroom, but they're putting you on other waiting time.
Yeah, yeah.
Look at the forms the right way.
The
So
COP was first geared like that. Like the COP was not where the president came in there and tied up a whole
right.
day of him just
We
rambling.
were
That was
just
a
saying that.
meeting.
Yes, yes.
That's a meeting that was geared for us presidents to get together and have that conversations with each other. I mean, like, I love going to the COP. To me, that's the most important training that I get, because the reason is I have networked with so many presidents. Like, I don't have to go to my business agent. I got everybody and their brother. Look at the people that are on my slate. Like I just call those dudes up. They're going to be able to answer it for me. I think that the COPs are really good. We need to create that environment for the shop stewards and stuff like that to get them. The more that the shop stewards start talking to each other, the better they're all going to be at fighting these grievances because they're going to bounce stuff off each other. If you haven't fought it, well, I have. Here's how you beat it. So yeah.
And that brings up something interesting that Tom said about, all of us communicating and, an inspection goes from one office to the other regionally. Why isn't that happening, do you guys think? Like, that seems like such a great, easy idea. Why isn't that something that is the norm? I know we're both from different regions. Tom's from mine, 14, you're in 12.
Ooh.
Why are we not seeing that?
That's a good.
Yeah, we're gonna flip a coin, Tom.
It's I'll handle that one a little bit. I think that's the style of leadership.
Yeah,
it's very easy to do. It's very politically hard to pull the trigger on that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes politics gets in the way of labor representation, and we should not be doing that. All of us should be together. We're all one region. Everyone in Connecticut should know what's going on in Massachusetts, as opposed to Paul Belanger up in New Hampshire, Maine. All of us should.
And that's kind of the idea, is we're all supposed to be fighting for the carrier, and we are all supposed to have the same goal of the best thing for the carrier.
Correct.
Politics really shouldn't play a part in any of that. Unfortunately, obviously it does. You're dealing with any sort of company, organization. There's always hierarchies. There's always ladders. There's politicking seeps its ugly head in, unfortunately, when we should all have the same goal.
We should.
There's a lot of things I think that the leadership should be doing that they don't do. That's probably another podcast for us, but they have that ability to step in, and like the forcing that happens in every office. Like, at what point are we going to step in? The heat, the people walk around 100-degree weather and all that. When are we going to actually implement like some kind of a heat advisory where we're done at this heat level, or like in wintertime when it's negative 17 degrees out for people? Like, look, man, like that's the safety portion. Like, they should be stepping in and helping us with that stuff. And I think a lot of the rank and file people these days, they lost faith in the leadership that we have right now, because the tentative agreement's a prime example of that. Like, we all shot that down. You put it through regardless of what we thought. And then you go off and you have text messages for people, and that's what you base the whole fast tracking it with. Like, I don't agree with a lot of things they do. Even the uniforms that we get, like, that's stuff that they should step in and help us out with too. I mean, how much uniforms you think you're getting for $537? The more we raise that, it's not negotiated well at all. Like, and I'm still waiting for my 27% raise that the guy showed me we're getting.
It's funny you mention uniforms, because that is something Brian himself has said is, I don't think we should be negotiating uniforms. It cuts into the pie, because they're always going to argue it's money. But then we negotiate it, and we don't negotiate it to anything. And it's just one of those things where I think Mike had said, and Mike Cariff is, where are we going to get to the point where we say, we're not going to wear the uniforms until you just buy it? It's insane that we're held to this thing of $530 where the shirts are. I haven't looked at the prices recently, but
it's ridiculous.
It's $70-$80 at this point. Shoes are almost $200. You can't afford it. The answer we got is, well, you can carry it on the following year, which, by the way, I learned you can't carry it on. So 2025s doesn't go to 2026. Citibank has to make their money. 2025s goes on to 2027. So this does absolutely nothing for younger carriers. There's like a year hold on it, so Citibank can make their money. What am I going to tell my younger carriers who want uniforms? I always say the story that I have is one of the toughest things I had was I had a black carrier come on to wearing a decent Aryan denim. He's carrying one of the expensive routes. You got to drive all the way up driveways, go up to people's doors. It's late at night. And he goes, I'm walking up to people's front doors in the pitch black, not in uniform. Like, I don't really feel safe doing this. And then you tell him, well, you can carry your uniform allowance over for 2 years, and you got an extra $30.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a pair of socks.
Yeah,
But it's another one of those things where they're like the post office and the NALC they're not proactive with this. Like we're gonna talk about like the quartermaster program forever until they do it. Or like how the nurse, if you go to a hospital, they have the machine. You got a dirty shirt, you put it in, a clean one pulls out. It's an easy fix. It really is.
Yes, it's real easy.
It's real
I
easy.
agree.
These companies are holding you hostage by charging. So when I had a guy retire and he didn't use his card and he goes, "Hey, take it." And I was like, "Oh, my first thought was I'm gonna get a brand new Gore-Tex raincoat." But instead I bought I went around to some of the PTFs and I said, "What size shirt are you?" So I bought like 10 shirts and I went through like almost the whole thing. It's embarrassing. It's like we're allowing these companies to take advantage of us where we could just fix this program so easy,
And
you
if
know?
they bought it in mass quantity and just distributed them out to us,
Yeah.
it'd be cheaper to them. But the problem is when you're negotiating the national contract, they couldn't use that as a bargaining chip. This is a bargaining chip to us. It is not because
Shouldn't be,
we're
though.
going to give you another 27% on it or
Yeah.
something like that. You guys accept 1-3. Well, if you want me in uniform, you provide the uniform.
Right.
Do you think UPS is out there and they're getting a Citibank credit card? No, they don't do that.
No.
Sean O'Brien wouldn't allow that.
And you I don't know about you guys. I see a UPS. I've never seen a UPS person out of uniform.
Because they're all there.
No.
You walk
Right.
in.
You think
You're
about
going
that.
out in a uniform whether you like it or not.
Yeah. It shouldn't be so. It's just it's always. I've been here for over 20 years, and I'm like, why wouldn't these people walk in uniform? You have people walking in jeans, in leggings, in dress shirts, and I'm like, just give them a couple shirts and have like when they go to the academy, spend 3 hours or whatever it is at a fitting room or something, and just get them in uniform. It's something so easy, and they make it so hard on themselves, and it shouldn't be that hard.
and it's funny. I imagine Bill and Tom remember this. The old days of like we were strict with uniform. Had to be tucked in if it didn't have the tail. I know some stations instituted the tie if we were wearing long sleeve. Like they used to be really strict with uniforms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God for the shirt jack, man.
Yeah. I still have a couple of older carriers that tell me that it's got to be tucked in if it's a long sleeve. Like we haven't followed those rules in about 20 years now. They seem very lax on the idea of that look anymore.
Yeah.
And it's because they
The
don't care
hardest
about
challenge is the shoes. I think the shoes is what kills people because your shoes are like tires. And if you're walking all those routes and all those miles, the shoes fall apart faster than anything that we get.
the
And
hardest
they
fucking
cost.
shoes I've ever felt in my life too.
Yeah, they're not comfortable. Your feet are
Oh.
probably all jacked up. It's just, I'm a military guy, and I think that they should operate it like the military. I agree with the academy. You come out of the academy, depending on where you're at in the United States, you're going to get your supplies. I'm going to give you a pair of shorts. I'm going to give you a pair of pants. I'm going to give you a jacket. I'm going to give you a hat. Here's your satchel. Here's your harness. Get your shit and get out the door. Like that's, and then by the time that catches up to you, I think that uniform allowance ought to be around the $800 mark because to get stuff like I wouldn't worry about Gore-Tex gear. I tell people worry about that stuff later.
Right,
The best thing you could do is latch on to a retiree that's retiring and he's got a lot of uniforms. And I try to go hit those guys and get that stuff and give it to my CCA so that way, they're clothed. You don't want them looking like crazy people, like the guy's scared to go up to the door late at night,
And it sucks. We have a donation program in Dedham that I started where, outside my union office, I have a whole rack right there of a bunch of shirts, jackets. The retirees usually donate. But it sucks to have somebody walk in the door, and some of these kids are really excited to wear the uniform. Like there is still pride with them. And you're like, hey, here's a shirt somebody wore for 20 years. You can try to see if it fits you. Here's their pants that they wore for 20 years. Like
dead man's shoes, like
better than that. Like we should have some respect towards ourselves, the job, the uniform.
yes.
Bring respect back to letter carriers.
Bring pride
I'm not
back.
a rinky-dink side worker.
Yep. Bring pride back
Yeah.
to the career.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
most people that do this job are proud to do the job. Some people just obviously the ones that aren't, they don't really last. I've had some PTFs that have said to me, "Oh, I got to go find a real job," and I'm like, "No, thanks. It's a nice thing to say.
Yeah, I've only been here 20 years
Yeah,
doing this. Yeah.
I've I've been able to buy a house and make a pretty good living off this, and it is a real job, and I think that's what we got to really preach to these people. Is my famous line to I have a PTF meeting and my vice president is taking it over a lot, but I can't help myself when I go in, and one of my lines is always, "This is not a paper route, right?" You're out there delivering, ballots. Hopefully, we still do that. Medication, presents. Um, so treat it like every piece is important. That's why I always say Capone. I told Capone the other day, I go, we're not Amazon. We bag packages in the rain in Framingham. Amazon throws in the driveway, it gets all wet. We throw it in a bag, and if it takes extra time, if it's raining, we put on a 96 bag packages. It's just pride in the job. We got to really preach that too.
It used to be that way. Like I remember when I came up here in JP, I came right at the time I was starting in 06, where you had the veterans still there, the Vietnam guys still and everything. And man, they were merciful if you didn't do things right. I remember I had a guy named Jerry. May be surprising, but I'm a little lippy and very talkative sometimes in the office. Some of the older cats want to kill me. And he explained to me that I was lower than whale shit. And shut your mouth and listen, kid. But man, like that weeded out those guys that didn't care about the job, guys and girls that didn't care about the job. They weeded you out. And when you came out of the other end, you were a good carrier. You took care, you were responsible, and you took pride in it because they still took pride in it.
Yep.
And I think it's something I see a little less and less.
Yeah, we lost
That's
that
because
away.
the military guys aren't coming. They're like, all right, so
Yeah.
the Vietnam guys are probably about gone. They're probably gone, the Vietnam guys. And now you got the Desert Storm people, which is kind of like where I'm at. So those people aren't coming in. You're not getting veterans coming in. Like I go to the academy. My office is actually right next to the academy, and the academy does the whole northeastern side of Pennsylvania. It goes all the way up to New York, and I go in there every week because they're there. Why not? I'm going to go in there. I'm going to talk to the CCAs and see that. And not many vets are coming out of that. Like there was one in the academy this week. I was like, that's great because they have that. Those guys helped you like that, Capone, because they had that integrity, that structure, that discipline from the military still in them. Like once you go through that process, that don't go away. Like no matter what, it's still always. I mean, there's times like I'm a Marine veteran, and in the Marine Corps they took away certain words from us, like I, you. We weren't allowed to say that stuff, and I still find it today. Like I'll stutter out because I know that word somehow blocked in the back of my head. I'm not allowed to say that word, even though I'm in the real world. So I think that's how those guys taught people, and they wanted to make sure you made it because look, you're their help. When they're off on vacation, somebody's got to do their job for them. And you don't want somebody that's going to come in here and do that job half-assed because you built that character up with your customers out on the street. You don't want somebody just going out there just throwing mail, giving them the wrong mail and all that. You want to make sure that they're doing the job correctly at all times and safely. And those guys that's what they were doing with you. Yep. There needs to be more of that.
Yeah.
Is that something you notice? I know with the bigger area, Tom, are you seeing less veterans come into the area?
Yeah, big time. We're losing a lot of them. We're starting to lose. We just lost our 1970 hires. Paul and Steve Rossetti, they're both gone. They retired in the same week, 55 years in one. Wow. The other guy was 49.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for them.
They were in for a long time. And Steve Rossetti gave a good speech about it. You got to start taking pride in what we're doing. We are keeping America connected. It's time to understand how this works and keep it there for the American people.
Yeah, I think we kind of talked about that a little in the roundtable that we had with Tom was on with Paul, Corey, and Mike. As the union, I think Corey says it like, "Where's my commercial?" Like we need to get involved more in the public, like showing how much we're important to the public and imagine a commercial with like a carrier throughout the years watching someone grow up and delivering presents or like helping someone. You hear all those stories that we need to start winning the PR game. And if I was going to advise, I'm not a PR person, but if I was going to advise Brian or the CLC or whoever is running the national union, we need to get involved in that a little more.
Yes.
Yeah. billions. I mean, I won't say billions, millions of dollars. The post office advertises. Why can't the NALC's in the political game? Why can't you get involved in that and really take advantage of how much the public loves us? Because I've never seen it more now. Like my members are so close with some of their customers, and I don't know if it was COVID, but the route I left, I saw these people. I was doing a split on it the other day, and there was hugs and oh my God, I haven't seen you in
Mhm.
3 years. We saw
Mhm.
you every day. It was we. It was just. It's a good thing, but we don't take advantage of that as much as we should. And
Shit.
it's a political. It's like playing politics. Like uh, Tom, you run for branch president of a huge branch. Bill, you're running for MBA of a region. You got to play the political game, and obviously Brian plays a political game. Corey, James, Mike, they're in the game too. But somebody's got to take advantage of this passion that people have for their letter carriers, and I think the NALC
Mhm.
should be taking a really stronger approach to that.
And it's
I
funny you
don't
mentioned.
think.
I have to agree.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned advertising. I actually delivered today, and this goes along with not veterans, but in general, keeping people. We had an advertisement today I delivered, and it was Amazon promoting themselves. It's got the
Mm.
person in the Amazon, clothing and the nice van, hiring at $29 an hour, I believe it
Wow.
was, or
Mm.
at 28, 29. And I'm just thinking through my whole day, how many of my CCAs are delivering this to every single house? Looking at that nice van that's air conditioned, a uniform, more pay, it mentions benefits, and they're just all day putting it in mailboxes.
Yeah.
How many people are walking out today because of that?
Yep.
I say that all the time, Capone. Like the guy next door has got a way better system going. We should be starting our guys out at that money. Think about if our CCAs made $28, $29, even 30. The rest of us are going to make more money too, because the way that they did that TA, you kind of helped out the A guy going to C,
Yeah.
and then the P dude's got the $1,000, but everybody in the middle, we didn't get shit. When you're walking around and it's torrential downpour, if you're in the heat or whatever element you're in, you get thinking about that. Like 1.3%, man, I'm like soaking wet out here. I'm probably going to get sick, and it's not worth it to some of the newer people coming in. Like the people that are here right now and they've been here for 10 years, they're not going nowhere because we got too much time invested into this and we want that pension. That's
Well,
the
so not
key.
even like I was reading OIG reports that talked about the least amount of veterans ever in history have applied for this job, and more veteran carriers with 6+ years have quit this job ever in history.
Wow.
And I mention this all the time that when I came into the post office, I grew up in Hyde Park. There was, you could work for the city, you could try to get on the fire, you can try to get on the police. Most of us weren't going to college. The post office was a big win. And I remember
Hmm.
getting my post office paycheck. I got my first apartment in Hyde Park. And it was huge to be able to have that. Buy my own new clothes, buy a car, get tattooed. Like it was money. And then I look at the people starting now and they aren't able to move out of from their parents' basement because the money's nowhere near. I read a report recently. They're saying in Massachusetts, to be able to afford a 2-bedroom, you need to make $56 an hour.
Yep.
We're nowhere near. And imagine coming into this place, taking the shit you take, getting $24 an hour. I forget who I talked to recently, maybe on the podcast. We're talking about old bosses compared to new. And when I started, they were nasty. I remember fights on the floor with them. JP was a rough area when I got in here, and bosses would give it to you, and you'd give it back to them. And it was I was a casual. They could fire you at any point. So it was this constant, well, we'll fire you tomorrow. I remember I got bit by a dog. I have a scar here and a scar here. They came up to me as a casual and said, either go home, shower, come back and finish the route, or don't bother coming back at all. We'll just fire you. You're a casual.
That's
We don't
sad.
need you. But the pay was good. We battled through it. You wanted it. Now the pay sucks. The bosses aren't as nasty as they are, but it's a constant grinding of the wheel on these CCAs now.
They nitpick more than ever.
Nitpick that aren't getting fucking paid. At least when I started, it wasn't so much nitpicking. They'll give you shit. They talk fucking horrible. They threaten your job every single day. But once you hit the street, You didn't deal with
Right.
them.
Well, there's no GPS and
Yeah.
but we've been saying for a while, like if they might accept this pay if they were treated like they were treated a little better, like they weren't nitpicked a lot, and it's just, we were talking, Capone and I were talking to a couple other people, or I think it was just Capone and I on the phone. We were saying like, after the dust settled, like thinking about the TA step P, I wouldn't say it's terrible, right? It's delivering mail making $82,000 a year right now. I'm not I wish it was a little more, but like my problem has always been like the people on table two, like in the middle when that TA got signed. It's like I always say, like, what did they get? Especially in the big cities, they didn't get enough. And I hope that's the focus of the next one for this future of the post office. Because if another one comes, and I always use like step D on table two is like
Mhm.
59,000 and they don't get anything. I think some of those people are going to have a decision and they're like, it's not worth it at this point. I can't live in Boston, New York, you know, Chicago, San Francisco. I can't live. And that is my concern for the future of the post office is, yeah, we'll still be around, but like how many people are going to be working here? Is retention going to get worse as we go on and on? So.
Greg, you're 100% right. I mean, the bullying that it's not worth the bullying that you got to come into. They're going to work you like a dog. You're going to be doing a lot. You're exhausted. I mean, like I get exhausted just doing
Mm,
my own route. Like I can only not imagine being an older person because obviously the hiring process has changed and we're
oh
bringing
yeah.
people in that you could look at them and be like, yeah, I don't know if you're going to make it, dude. I hope you do, but they ain't looking good out of the gate. Yeah, I'm sure there's a ton of them. I just think that the hiring process is all wrong than what it used to be, and they just don't want to. It becomes tough. I mean, if you're working 12, 13 hours a day every day, you're not getting days off. I mean, now they retain them, but if you're doing all that, you're exhausted and now
Yeah.
you're not making any money. And then you got the person in your face all the time trying to tell you you ain't doing it right and you need to be faster at what you're
Yeah.
doing. Or like Capone says, they threaten to fire you. Like that
Yeah.
should never come to that.
And make
Uh,
every office PTF. It was funny. I recently had a meeting with my postmaster, and we're discussing. We're a CCA. We're surrounded by PTF offices, and he said, "You realize we have one of the lowest retention rates in the district?" And I said, "I don't know how. We keep every single CCA that's in here." He goes, "They're quitting during the classes
Mm-hmm.
because the guy next to them is a PTF,
Yep.
and they're
Happens a
quitting and
lot.
applying for the PTF." And it's like, why are we in this situation? Just make it all PTFs.
I
Hell, if
agree.
you got to bring back holiday help, but you got to do something. You want help. You want people to respect us again and start using the post office. It seems like we're taking a very lazy approach of use the post office maybe if you want, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll put out people that don't want to be here, and we're not pushing that. No, we're the industry leader. We're the best. Use us. We have the best employees. We deliver it the best. We're respectable. We ring your doorbell. We don't fucking throw the package at your door.
Yeah, we're a better
You know
service.
us. Use us. That was always our bread and butter. It's Miss Jones knows me. She'd rather trust me with the package than the guy that's throwing on the porch that she never sees. She sees me.
yeah.
She knows my family. She knows everything about me. I
Well,
know everything about her.
sorry to interrupt, but you just brought up a great point. Like, and that's why I don't want to. We're not going to go off on a tangent on this, but a report came out recently that we might be doing the census. They're going to start testing that.
Yeah,
Who
that's gonna
bet?
happen.
Who better than the guy, the person, the man or woman that you see every day? And I know some people are like, "Oh, don't trust them. They're government employees." We know that's not true. That's what
Hmm.
we've seen it with the
Vital
ballots.
records too.
Yeah, we never make mistakes with the ballots. It's always perfect. Um, when I saw that census thing, and I said that I took that as a positive. I heard some people take it as a negative. I was thrilled. I go, you know what that means? We're going to be around. You
Oh
know,
yeah, that's a
yeah,
positive for the post
I
office.
love that. I heard people saying, "Oh, they want us to do more." I'm like, I'll do it. I
An
don't know how many.
injection of cash. I mean, just think about how vital we will be then dealing with censuses and vital records. The government always wants their goddamn money. They want to know who's in what house. They
Right.
want the birth certificates. They want the marriage certificates. They want all that stuff. And they're going to close all their facilities across the country give it to us. I think it's would cost the government. They said 60 billion is what they spend on it. They're going to have to give us some of that cash for doing this. We're back to being extremely vital because they need us at that point. It gives us a little bit more leverage in the bargaining room.
Yeah.
And
The
it
2.3.
brings us back to customer service. I always hear the old timers used to tell me, like, oh, yeah, no, I used to take in the old lady's garbage, pails, and I would help them with groceries. And obviously, they don't want us doing that stuff anymore, but it brings some respect back to us. And maybe it'll help us out under inspections too, because now we're going to need time for this.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree.
I have a route like that where I have a woman that's handicapped and can't get to the door, and she leaves the door. I don't know what she's gonna do when wintertime comes, but she'll leave that door open. So because she has packages stacked up outside and all that. I just take the extra, like if I got to cut into my break just to pull her stuff in there for her, I do that every day.
Yeah.
But it benefits because she makes me like these scones and stuff, like her the person that takes care of it. So I kind of get some perks out of it. I don't look for perks. I was just being a nice guy, but but you're right. We're the people in the neighborhood. It's like Sesame Street, the song. We're the people in the neighborhood. You see us every day. It's the same thing. I watched your kids grow up. I've seen you go from all hell breaking loose to you got a happy family going. So it's everything like that. With the census thing, I think that as long as they get that to a part where we're not going to do what we're doing with the MSP, the sample requests and stuff like that, where people are going to start, because you think about it, if you have like 20, 30 census reports, that means you got to knock on that person's door and verify everybody that's living within that house. So what's that going to do? That's going to extend your route.
Absolutely.
I mean, they have to make that work where it's not like I got marriage mail today, I'm going to need an extra half hour. No, you don't need it. Like, I don't want to sit there and argue over something like that. I want that to be ironed out before we even get going. When did they say that's taking place, Greg? In 27, I think I saw, right?
Yeah,
but they're going to test it.
They're testing it, and they wanted, because the next one is 2030, so they want to test it in 27, 28, and I think and have it ready to go for 2030, which, it's good. How they're going to do it is going to be interesting. Like, usually, I didn't even think about that. I thought they were going to take like 10 carriers and say, okay, start walking all the routes and go to every door. But it makes sense to, like, okay, on this date, you're going to verify who lives at this address, and maybe it will have a different scanner or type thing. I don't know how the Census Bureau does it now. I remember, I don't know if maybe it was a dream I had as a kid. I remember someone coming to the door and asking my parents how many people live here or something, but I don't know if that was like a nightmare or
That's
something
how
like
they
that.
still do it. They go around to the neighborhood,
right.
they knock on that door. It's not a dream.
Shake you down.
In a movie I saw or something.
That's good.
Can I I don't know if we're gonna wrap it up soon, but I just wanted these guys' opinion on one thing, because I just saw a story earlier, and that the Minnesota State Association did make a resolution, but a vote of support for the striking workers in Canada, the Canadian postal workers. I think it's a topic that's going to come up a lot. I wanted your guys' opinion on the if you believe in the right to strike as a postal worker, or even starting the idea of a right to strike, or a strike fund for the NALC in case we ended up doing that sometime.
100% behind the right to strike. That is leverage and power. We would shut this country down if we went on strike. Everyone would have to deal with us. So I do support the Canadian workers.
It'd be a tough fight. There would be definitely more leverage.
I think right now, sometimes it puts us in a position of weakness when we're arguing. If we had to hold that over the Postal Service head, that we're going to shut it down and walk out. They did it in the 1970s. A lot of things change, and I think it's going to happen in my lifetime. You're going to see that a wildcat strike again.
So do you think giving up the interest arbitration, because I know that's one of the ideas, is to give up interest arbitration to get the right to strike? What is your thoughts on that?
I'm for that. The interest arbitration really hasn't benefited us a real lot since my career started. We do get a good base salary when you get to the top, but we never look at stuff like reducing the amount of time it takes to get to full salary.
Mm.
Why don't we argue?
I agree with that. I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Sometimes they get lost in interest arbitration. We don't really pinpoint stuff like that. We talked about uniforms. Interest arbitration doesn't address that. The interest arbitrator could turn around the post office and say, hey, you go buy them all and supply it for all of them. You're not going to negotiate that. We don't get that part. We get the money part of it, but it's the job, the workplace climate you don't get out of interest arbitration, which I wish.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Bullying, stuff like that. They don't negotiate that in interest arbitration. They do a good job of negotiating the wage part of it, but the other packet doesn't come out right.
Yeah, there's a lot of working parts. And yeah, like Tom said, a lot of those working parts get neglected.
Yeah, and that is true, because one of the things, actually, I think me and Greg were talking about earlier that always drives me crazy is I forget which, I think it was a senator, recently came out with the numbers of what the post office loses in grievances a year, money-wise.
A lot.
Now,
Boston's a lot.
yeah, I don't understand why that isn't really brought in when the post office complains about the money, and you show them, this is how much we've lost in grievances. Then you break it down. It's on these articles, which we all know it's probably Article 8.5 and equitability and violations of forcing and stuff like that, and show them that you're losing this money on things that can easily be fixed if your bosses were held accountable. I always say, the stat, it was in the OIG report that we went from, I think it was every 21 carriers, there was one supervisor, or 11 or something, there was one supervisor. Now we're down to, for every 7 employees, there is one supervisor. They've created more of them since 2011, and they're also getting performance reviews on metrics that don't really count. And they could honestly cost the post office $1 million each in grievances on easy shit that should not have happened. But as long as they hit the stupid fucking metric on a computer, they will get their performance review, and there's no accountability held towards them. Which, what company could you imagine losing $1 million for, and they go, here's your bonus, unless you're, Exxon or one of those banks or anything like that. But we promote these people instead of hold them back for when they cost the post office money. We give them a bonus and we move them up the ladder. Failure upwards.
So there's a company,
and that person was a failure in the beginning. I agree.
Yeah, we had a company that lost $9 billion and no one lost their job.
It's amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Insanity. And then they argue with us about money and the pie being too small. We can only give you this much.
Open those books.
Bullshit.
Open those books.
Yeah, that's the thing. Open the. That's what I like. Don't help them out by promoting and if Brian was in this room right now, one of the things I say to him is their losses aren't our problem. We're actually the most valuable thing that they have. And like Tom said, they lost $9 billion. Nobody lost their job. They also, for 20 years, have lost all this money, made payroll. I was saying the other day at the Roundtable that I was watching ESPN at 5:30 and the post office is advertising. That's a big spot there to spend money on. So there's some money there. It's just maybe we need to find out where it is and not play as nice next time around.
And that's the key. And as Tom said, open up the books. We are almost taking this loser mentality. I know there was a resolution at this year's convention out of 34 in regards to auditing the payroll system. Because, if they're paying Bill Kriebel and 30 cents less for every hour and we don't catch it, or there's hours or changes in anything, it's not always able to be caught. If Bill isn't showing me his check, how am I going to catch it to grieve it? And he may not notice. And we actually had people come up and speak against an audit of the post office finances with the argument is, well, your reps, you guys should be grieving it. We're not catching it. And why are we...
And
what
how
are we arguing?
To do it? I kind of know what you're talking about. I got 2,400 active. Every 2 weeks, I'm going to stop and have stewards look at 2,400 carriers. That ain't going to happen. We don't have the time. The 2 weeks to be up and doing it again.
Yeah. And it's insane. It's a loser mentality. And we do it with their books as well. We're not calling into, let's do a full audit of the post office and see where this money's going, how you're losing it, what is going on. It's always the NALC kind of takes well, they say they don't have money, so We can only negotiate with what they have. And, you know, you got to understand, we work for an organization that's losing money. You never hear about the military losing money. We're the post
Exactly.
office. And
That's a good point, Capone.
yeah. In the 07, I think it was the Fassbender ruling, it had said the post office made money that year, that the post office financial stability has no effect on what the letter carriers make, because of the ruling we got. And we didn't get a huge raise that year, even though post office showed huge amounts of money. And then we don't come in and show that argument. What they make doesn't matter. You ruled that when they made money, you wouldn't give us money because you said their financial situation doesn't affect our pay. They have the ability to raise stamps. That's the way it was supposed to go from the 1970 Reorganization Act, that if you need to pay us, you raise the stamp prices to pay us.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't want to do that because half the people on these postal boards actually work for the mailing industries that will be cost billions. They don't care about Grandma Jones, who the stamp goes from 82 cents to $1 because she doesn't care. What costs $1 in this country at this point anyways? What it's going to cost is those mailing magistrates who have billions. And they're the ones on our boards deciding not to raise the prices, which will stop us from getting the raises.
Mm-hmm.
It is an insane prospect.
Yep.
But that's where you don't play nice with them, and you say, all right, well, figure it out. Well, we're not going to just take this little piece of the pie. We deserve more. And if you're going to have the top 300 people at the post office don't touch a piece of mail and they're the highest paid people, then that's probably the problem, rather than the people that are the last people to touch the mail. And that's where you need to change the narrative. And like I said earlier, you get in the PR game. And, Wells Fargo sends out a report. Why doesn't the NALC send out a report doing something similar on the other, flip it around on them and say, well, actually, we could make money if, we have a lot of influence in Congress now, and maybe it's time to start shipping alcohol. Maybe it's time to talk about postal banking. There's so much out there that they could do, but nobody wants to really change it because we're just going to keep with the loser mentality,
Yep.
at every level. So
We're just going to settle for 1-3-1-3-1-3.
Yeah.
Time to change that. They are the
Absolutely.
richest broke company in the world.
Yeah.
They have more money. They took in $80 billion last year. Does anyone really think it costs that much money to deliver the mail? I mean, that's like 1.6 billion a state-ish in that area. Vermont's got what, maybe 800,000 people live there, cost over $1 billion to deliver their mail. Where is all this money going? We're Congress's piggy bank. They take our money.
Oh, yeah. They took our money back. That's where the whole pre-funding thing, we're owed all this money from the Siegel study. And they just use, like you said, they use us as a piggy bank back in the like 07, 08, 09. They just started taking the money that is our money, and we never saw it back. And I said to these guys a few times, I said, I truly believe that I think Brian was probably relying on that money to be released. And the last three presidents who, I don't think they would agree on anything.
Didn't do it.
They didn't do it. Obama didn't do it. Trump didn't do it. Biden didn't do it. And Trump's certainly not going to do it again. So that we're never going to see that money. So it's I think it's time to give up that 90 billion is gone, and that was our money. So
imagine if we controlled our pensions.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
We control every congressman, every senator, every branch would have a new building. Guys drive through Boston, you see the 103, the electrical building.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Well, it's bought by their pensions.
Right.
All that pension money has to go some. Teamsters buildings are beautiful buildings.
Beautiful. Yeah. They look like castles.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good idea.
Gorgeous.
That's something that they should be looking into. That is a good idea. There's a way to fix this, and I think we said it's a loser mentality of just going with the standard. This is the way, not thinking outside the box, which is why sometimes you need new blood to change things around a little bit, because we're getting very sedentary in our ideas and not pushing forward.
Everybody's complacent with what everything is right now. And at the end of the day, we all need to start being aggressive, because It's like you said, the pay structures. Look at the vehicles, the electric vehicles, the money that was wasted on that. I mean, like we don't have electrical ports to plug these things in. So how's that working? That's a waste of money. They're like the military, it's self-funded. It's like you said before, the stamps and raising the price of the delivery and stuff is how we're supposed to grow with that. But what they really should be doing is probably whacking out some of these managers, because in most stations you probably got like 5, 6 people walk around that don't do shit, and that's the money that we could recoup for some of this. If they followed the contract and not violated the contract, I got guys that'll work 12 hours. Why are you messing with my nons? Work them. They want to do that.
Right.
Bring them in on their day off. They want to come in. You know, these are the ways that the management, they don't care. It's not their money. They don't care about paying that money out. And that's what really hurts the postal side's profits. Where us as a union, I mean, we have our own flaws too, but I mean, like, you know, we got a lot of dudes sitting in national that are removed from their duties. I mean, start adding all that money up. I mean, like everybody needs to work better. It needs to be more business structure to it, especially with us as a union. We need to negotiate stronger. We need to go in there, like utilize your executive board. I don't know if you guys seen pictures before, like when Rolando was the president, he would have that whole executive council sitting in that room with him as they're negotiating. Nowadays, those guys aren't even in the room. They're not even a part of the equation. We got one guy negotiating something that we don't want. That's a
Right.
problem.
Yeah.
So that's my
and
2
even
cents.
no, that was like a campaign speech. You're right. You're
No,
right.
it was a campaign. I
You're
mean,
right.
look, we all go through the
No,
same stuff, man.
but you're
We
right.
feel that.
You're right, and you clearly, I mean, you have the passion for it because I feel the same way. And my fear is that we're gonna have these elections, and let's say Brian, I don't even know if Brian's running. Let's say Brian wins again. I really hope that the pressure from from call it the CLC, Mike Cariff, BFN,
Hmm.
you know, the opening up the comments on Facebook, if that is and he wins and he learns something, I don't know if he is, I don't know him that well. If he learns from this in the very least and he takes a different approach because he feels the heat and he said, "Oh man, let's say he wins by one vote. Maybe I should start listening to other people. Maybe I should take a different approach." And I'm telling you, people have short memories. He walks into that LA convention, and obviously the elections after. He walks in that LA convention with 3 good raises or 4 good raises. A lot of people are going to forget, and I think even the CLC, James and Corey, the two heads of the CLC, want him to succeed. I don't think they believe he can, but I would say that they want him to do well in the next negotiation if he can, and we see some positive things out of it. I don't think they're rooting against him because it helps all of us out. So it's like hopefully he learns from this. The executive council learns from this, and they see the membership is not happy, and sometimes a little pressure, makes the change.
I
Competition
think.
really creates a better position. I mean, I know Greg gives the same speech as me during nominations of like, look, somebody run for a position, run against me. If I'm not doing well enough, I'll be beat and I will have to be better. And the competition creates better ideas and it creates a position where either you're going to adjust and get better or you're going to lose your position. And we
Mhm.
see it all the time. We see it in branches. We've seen it in the state where, you're seeing the state branches do something more because they're getting competition from younger carriers. And now it's like, oh, this isn't tied up in a knot like it used to be. And that this is good. You're getting more ideas, more competition. And in the end, we all do want the best for the city letter carrier.
Mhm.
But guys got to learn to adapt. Guys got to learn how to step up. They need to start coming up with better ideas and not get sedentary in the position because we have people that are coming up ready to change things.
There's a lot of people coming up, man. Just from booking around the United States, man. I've met some people, man. That's like, man, you're the future. Like, there's people out there. Like, I don't know how well you know a lot of the people across, but there's a guy out in Minnesota, Chris Pennock. That guy's solid, man. Everything that comes out of his mouth, like he is what the future of the union is. There's a ton of him though. There's people like that all over. There's a guy out in San Diego. Oh man, his name's slipping me. But when I was in Formula 8, I listened to that guy talk. I was like, oh man, he's good. I think the future will be bright. We just need to utilize all those people and stick together. Look, we're all on the same team. You know, that's the thing. We need to fight together and get this stuff.
It needs to stay together.
Yep.
That's it, my man.
All right. I think we
covered it all.
Yeah.
It was good, man. Honestly, I was a little nervous coming into this tonight because once Capone says it's live, I was like, oh man.
Well, they'll edit. They can edit the bad stuff out, I think. So
I don't think there's nothing.
We ran good. That was professional, straight off the ball. That's.
Yeah, I was nervous because I know them too.
I don't know anybody. Obviously, Tom, I think I met you in Boston. Greg, I talked to you over a picture you posted. I had to ask you about one of the people in the picture. And then Capone, I know you guys. Look, I even got my pin on tonight. That
nice.
The Union Plus pin. I was going to show Murphy, but he's not on this gig.
No, but it's good to I find these. I'm really enjoying these. Capone and I have been doing a lot of these, and just getting different people from around the country, CLC people or random presidents or BFN or even someone from National if they wanted to come on. Mm-hmm. It's good to have conversations about this. So people, I think the hope is that people listen to this and they learn. You got a veteran president on, you got three newer presidents. And hopefully it encourages other people to have a conversation. So I want I'll let Capone say the last words, but I wanted to thank the both of you for coming on tonight. I know we did it a little late, and it's after a Red Sox loss, so Tom and I are distraught. But I wanted to thank both of you.
Is there anything either you guys want to add, Tom or Bill?
Go ahead, Tom.
What was that? I missed you.
Is there anything else you want to add, Tom?
No, I just want to throw it out there again. Corey and James are coming up October 15th. You guys are more than welcome. You got any members that want to come on in? Halls are good size, so you're more than welcome. Well, might be an announcement tonight too.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Wonder what that is. I want to thank you guys, man, even for just thinking of me, a president that's in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, just to come on this. I really appreciate the opportunity. I do like having conversations like this because you don't get, obviously I was nervous to come on it, but as we got talking, it was just it's like I know you guys this whole time, and I appreciate it, man. And anytime you guys ever need anything from me, man, I appreciate and respect everything you guys do with all of it, with the whole Next Gen podcast. You guys are out to educate, so I appreciate that. And Tom, I'm sure I'll be meeting with you a lot.
Good. Look forward to it.
Yeah, and that was kind of the idea of the roundtable, is kind of the way I always pictured what the COP would have been in the 70s or 80s, where it's carriers talking shop and discussing ideas, and not in a formal format or interview style, more in a let's talk shop, and through that educating. So I do want to thank you guys definitely for showing up. Equitability is definitely something that I think a lot of people need to get ready. I wanted to try to get this on because it's tomorrow will be day one of equitability grievances for the last quarter, and getting people ready to actually look into it and make sure that they are representing their members to the best of their ability. My stance is always, and I've had this discussion with my postmaster, where it's, this is only 5 units. Come on. It's their money. It's their time. Even if they don't know they're aggrieved, they were aggrieved. And that's the main point, is we should be defending all our carriers to the best of our ability. And I hope this helped people out tonight. And I want to definitely thank Bill Kriebel and Tom Rooney and Greg for coming on this.
Letter carriers say they've been working for more than 500 days without a contract, and today they made their voices heard on the streets of
USPS failed to protect Eugene Gates and others.
Can't take it no more.
Mail carrier robbed at gunpoint.
Yes, are targeting these mail carriers for their universal keys.
Nearly 1,200 reported attacks and other assaults on postal workers just last year alone.